Hello, everyone. I think we're gonna have to wait a couple minutes. We're a little light on committee members at the moment.
Like, I don't know whether we have a quorum.
Well, there's only two of you, so we're well short. And Sheila Lucy did call. She said she's finishing up something with the Coast Guard right now, that she would be like 15 or 20 minutes late, but that she would be here.
Oh, really?
So,
Great.
but starts to be better.
Do we know if Linda's gonna be here?
Yes, Linda is. She emailed me.
She is turning in as we speak.
Oh, good, okay.
I know about you guys. We were all had school vacation. We all had school vacation. So we are in various states of people returning and being in all over the place. From what we generally regard as like the worst week of the year out here, because those of us that have to work, it's like take your kids to work week. So, oh, here comes Peterson. All right, looks like we're gonna make it through. I think once we get to 5, I think we're good. There.
Hey Jeff, people,
Hey, Peter.
when did you got here?
And there's Emily. All right, we're all just trickling in. It looks like doing pretty well.
Jim, how many more sections do we have to work through?
Good question. We're actually, believe it or not, we're getting close to the end, guys. Thank goodness. We have to finish boating and navigation today, then water quality. Hopefully we're going to start today, and then it's just public access after that. And then, you know, over here, we're writing, we're updating things and updating sections based on your feedback. But then at that point, we're going to be putting together the draft plan, and we'll have to start talking about, you know, once the draft plan has been reviewed by all of you, what our public process looks like for, you know, doing a public meeting, probably sometime this summer, which is good timing with people being on the island and everything. But we'll do, you know, a public review period and then also a public meeting. So we're making good progress. I think we've gotten a lot of useful information out of these sessions where we kind of go line by line.
Well,
However tedious they may be.
I don't know how many town meetings meet once every 2 weeks, nonstop.
Careful how you say town meeting. You mean town boards.
Town boards, yeah.
Because when you start saying town.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for your time. And you know, we also increased the amount of time per meeting to an hour and a half. So it's no small lift.
Well, our chair is
If you want to call the order, Phil.
No, she's
We got enough.
walking. She's walking in.
So.
Here she comes right now.
I'll catch up with you guys later, Kim. I know, we kind of held the spot with the select board for, I think they're meeting on May 22nd for an update. But if necessary, we can always push that depending on where we are too.
Okay,
Just
All
in
right.
time to call the meeting to order.
We don't have to read that stupid ass thing.
No? But you do have to take roll call.
We still have to do all the votes and all that stuff. Finally found the, fit it all in. All right, who's up there? Let's see, Kim. Let's see, Steve. Dave. Is that Emily over there?
Yes.
Who's under the mask?
Allison.
What other board members are up there?
Samantha's up there?
Okay, so I've got Steve, Dave, and Emily
And Samantha.
and Sam up there.
Yes.
Okay, who's up? Kim's up there, Allison's up there.
Kristen, Jack, and Alan.
And Alan?
Yep.
And we have Phil. Peter. Okay, we're gonna open the meeting of the Nantucket Mattocket Harbor Plan Committee meeting. April 22nd, 2024. At
107.
1:07. Since we don't have to read that thing anymore, we'll make sure that we're all here and we can all be heard. Steve,
Present.
Dave,
Here.
Emily,
Here.
Sam,
Here.
okay, myself, Phil,
Here,
Peter.
Here,
Okay, looks like we have Jeff in the room.
Here.
And we have Alan,
Here.
Kim,
here,
Allison,
Here.
Kristen,
Here.
Jack,
Here.
and we have a K up there. Who's the K? You can't be up there without a name.
No, that's me, Kristen. My name's
Okay.
underneath. I'm just off camera. I'm in the office and
my
Okay.
name is probably Jesse.
Where is?
Yep.
All right, Jesse.
I'm
you
here.
got- Is your name on there?
It says Susan Canteen.
I will put it on as soon as I'm in my car and I'm gonna transfer to my computer and I will put my name on.
Okay.
it's all right, I just updated it.
Oh,
All
thank
right.
you.
Who's
I was
Jerry?
actually trying to add
Is it
my
number-
name, but for some reason I don't see the
3
usual rename function.
North Liberty Street.
Let me, I can add it.
Thank you.
And we do have a member of the public for a change. I believe that's Jerry Connick.
He's been here for the last few meetings.
Yeah, and you're at 33 North Liberty? I don't see him coming up. Okay. All right, we'll jump right in. Welcome to everybody. Approval of the agenda. Somebody want to make that motion?
so moved.
All right, Phil, is there a second?
Second.
Who was that, Emily?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Emily,
Aye.
Sam,
hi.
Jesse,
Hi.
in her car, Phil,
Aye,
Peter,
Aye.
and myself. We got the minute from the last meeting.
Yep.
Because we just got these other ones. Does anybody have any comments about July 10th from 23 or 4/1 from 24? Thank you for catching up, Phil.
Actually, I didn't do July 10th. Because I didn't have time.
Okay, so cross those off.
Yep.
Okay, so we did get 4/1/24.
Yeah.
Phil?
just on the 4/1, April 1, I called the meeting to order, we started it, and then you came in
Yep.
about 10 minutes later.
Yep.
So I think we should just note that then I turned it over to Linda.
Yeah, we should, when people are coming in later, we should always note the time that they come in. That's what I've done with all my other
I
minutes,
do that.
just for the heck of it.
So then I
Okay.
turned it over to you because then you ran the rest of the meeting.
Yep. So with those, that change, somebody want to make a motion to approve the minutes of April 1st, 24?
So move.
That was Phil. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Steve. All those in favor? Steve,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Emily?
I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't there.
Okay, one abstention. Sam,
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
Phil,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
and myself. Thank you very much. Discuss issues and recommendations. We got voting, navigation, and dredging. We're gonna finish that one.
If I may, Madam Chair,
Yep.
she'll let me know she is on her way and she would be here. She said about 15 to 20 minutes after we started,
Okay,
assuming at once, so she'll be a few minutes late, but she's probably here shortly, so I don't know if we want to wait for her to start that section or.
Is there anything particular we want, since we have her available today? Is there anything that we had discussed in the past that we would like to bring up with her?
Yeah, all the mooring stuff that we talked about at the last meeting, we all had all kinds of questions, it was all casting about all kinds of what ifs and is this possible, and we had Dave backing us up. Because he was the harbor master and he knows it all, but Sheila is the harbor master, so she should at least get to speak to it.
right, I've got my notes. The anchorage, number of slips, enforcement was a big deal. We talked about the number, we talked about the embarkation fee. Mooring fields are approved versus the deeded waterfront versus the piers that are in the harbor. Let's see, we're talking about the waterfront and quays in eastern Focus Harbor. We talked about the 1,800 dedicated mooring. Public access was a big issue. We pretty much only got to the first page of harbor operations, safety, navigation, and moorings. We didn't go any further than that first page. Tim, do you have anything else to add to that first page? Any notes that we took then?
To add to which first page? The,
Well, we only reviewed the very first page of the last submission. We didn't even get past that because we had spent so much time on the one before that. So I
okay,
didn't know-
of voting and navigation, you mean?
Yeah,
Yep, I think we had gone through most of the goals and recommendations from the previous plan, and we're gonna move into current issues and recommendations. But one thing I wanted to mention maybe before Sheila gets here is that both Peter sent me a couple documents that, you know, I think came from Shab. And then Steve also sent a document, and I don't know if you guys want to briefly say something about those documents, or is that, if that's just included kind of in the conversation we're about to have.
It's the document I sent you is Mr. Franzuto's ideas, which became recommendations from the Harbor and Shellfish Advisory Board, which we've been talking about for a while. We've already been talking about them on at this committee. We just formalized them at our last meeting and took a vote to say we're sending them up to the Harbor Plan Committee. And the letter that Dave wrote represents the Harbor and Shellfish Advisory Board's vote and feelings, and just to formalize it. And then the cheat sheet is an outline of the ideas, which again, we've talked about already here. And then I just leave the rest to Dave.
I didn't have a chance to print it. I ran out of ink, so I didn't have a chance to really study what you sent me. Or Steve sent either, but I will get there.
It's the things that we've already been talking about. We've been talking about the pier you were talking about the alternate pier at the
Jetties.
West Jetty, petrol landing, the Marine Department coming away from the police department, and the embarkation fee, if I got it all right, Dave. So we've already had those conversations. we were just, I think Shab was just slow in saying, yes, we want to do this.
And the other one was that the idea that the harbor master could be a separate department.
Right, yeah, I said that.
Yeah,
Yep.
MPD, and, yeah, from MPD to
Oh,
harbor
okay,
master.
I just, because that's a big one.
Yep,
Well, we spent a lot of time the last time talking about enforcement.
In fairness, I think this last summer is the first time they've really tried to, I know that they have gone around and started giving tickets to boats that didn't have stickers. I know,
one
because a lot of
thing.
people came to me, but so I know that there has been an effort this last summer that I have never seen before in the last several years.
We also talked about people mooring in places they're not supposed to, people expanding out from them anchorage, that, all kinds of stuff. That's just, it's overwhelming to deal with that on a daily basis, and maybe she doesn't have enough staff. That's what I'd like to ask her, is a staff issue. It's nuts in that road. You can't even see up code 2 when you're standing on the Francis Street side or the Washington Street side. It's so jam-packed. Anybody have a hand up there? Anything anybody else wants to talk about before she gets here, or we can sort of take a look at the next page?
Did, just a quick question, if anybody had a chance to take a look at what I sent in, if there's any questions about that?
I did not have a chance to look at that yet.
Well, I can mention it briefly if you like, or we can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Basically, what I'm talking about is establishing a slow speed minimum wake zone from First Point all the way up harbor for vessels over 30 feet from June 15th to September 15th. As people probably know, the size of vessels with shallow draft, large center consoles that sometimes have up to 1,800 horsepower and are doing 40 or 50 miles an hour up the harbor, the big Hinckleys and all that. And it's just gotten so crowded up there with big boats and little boats and everything else that I think these big boats going so fast in that area, a safety issue.
So this is, Steve, this is in the harbor between
Right.
First Point up to Pocomo, not in the channel.
Not in the channel. First Point up to Walwinnett, Pulpus Harbor, all up harbor areas. They have the, sailboats are up there all the time. There's some sail racing, but there's also, private sailboaters and small sailboats, and there's people pulling kids on tubes and everything else. And then you get these guys in these, 35, 40-foot center consoles with 4, 500 horsepower motors on them now, 450 horsepower motors, just going crazy up there. And it's something we haven't really had to address in the past, but it's getting more and more prevalent. So it's just an idea that I had to throw out to see how people feel about it.
Question, Steve, because we always water skied up there. We water skied straight up until the points sort of filled in and had to have a turn and done the turn and another turn. But we always water skied usually inside point 2 or point, between 1 and 2 or 2 and 3. But they were always 16 to 18 foot boats. But you see a lot of 30 footers going up harbor.
Well,
I think
the point,
a Hinkley picnic boat is 36 feet. They go up to 55 feet. There's a lot of center console sport fish type boats now that have quad outboards on them that are 35 to 45 feet long. And, a lot of those boats, those quad outboards total up to 1,800 horsepower. I mean, we're not
Do they
talking like
go up harbor? I personally have never seen one up harbor, but Phil,
yeah, no, I think what Steve is saying is, and
great idea.
I mean, I think in the channel, that mark the channel, and there are buoys that mark the channel, that I think a speed restriction is fair. Outside of that, you can do the water skiing and all the rest of that stuff, but you just have to stay out of the channel.
Well, it's mostly for as I said, boats over 30 feet. And most of those bigger boats aren't skiing and doing that type of stuff either.
No, they're just hauling out. Dave?
Yeah, I agree. If they're operating in the channel, that's fine, but Steve's letter says the entire harbor, so we need to
Yeah.
wordsmith that a little bit.
Well, I've just, Steve, have you seen a lot of these over 30 footers going all the way up?
Oh, yeah, yeah, they're
yeah.
primarily Hinkley's and these
Well, I know the
big,
double
even
outboards.
these big Boston whalers with 3 outboards on them, and yeah. I totally agree with his idea. It's just we would need to wordsmith it that they could operate in the channel. So we'd have to take out the words entire harbor, but anyway, I agree.
I think it's a great idea. We should bring that up with her. Anything else in your thing, Steve? I can't read it from here.
No, that was pretty much it. I mean, I'm up there, mostly every Saturday. I race like my little 15-foot cat boat up there, and I sail up there, and I've got an 18-foot Parker, a little runabout. I'm up there a lot. It's just, the style of boats has changed so much recently that these boats are fairly, reasonably shallow drafted. Years ago, a bigger over 30-foot boat would be an inboard boat, and they would have trouble getting around up there. So, that whole area that's open between the channel kind of stops being marked up by, I think, about 3rd or 4th point. And there's that whole open area between, in front of Pacoma before Pulpus Harbor, and in front of quays. And it gets pretty crazy. And unfortunately, there's no common courtesy. They don't slow down. They don't see a small boat. They don't slow down. They're just, having a good time, going hellbent for.
Yikes. I'm glad I don't water ski anymore. We used to
Yeah.
jump in lakes.
Madam Chairman,
Yeah, Dave.
Steve, you agree with they could operate in the channel?
I guess, yeah, if they stayed within the channel. I think I read my language just so it would be an easier enforcement issue. So if they saw somebody in a bigger boat like that going, it'd be easier to spot. And as I said, I think the channel, well, I guess the channel goes all the way up to Pacoma now. I guess there's some buoys up that way too. So
Yeah, it goes around Pacoma, and the last buoys on the north side of Pacoma Point. But yeah,
Right.
if they could operate in the channel at whatever speed, but I think it's a great idea.
Or you could even set like a speed limit of 30 miles an hour too, because I've traveled the intercoastal waterway a lot, and during manatee season, there's one speed, and non-manatee season, there's another speed. And
I gotta say something about speed limits. They're impossible.
yeah,
I just taught a course for the Harbor Masters Academy, and yeah, you can't set the speed. It's either no wake or
Awake and nothing.
go at your
Yes.
will.
So
Speed limits are impossible.
when I suggested slow speed minimum wake, that's above idle speed. That's like 10 knots.
I totally agree, but I'm just saying setting a speed limit doesn't work
Right.
Samantha?
from an enforcement point of view.
Sam?
Yeah, I would just maybe offer that I understand enforcement of all these things is incredibly difficult, not just speed limits here. We have so many different rules on the books in this town that are difficult to enforce. But I still think awareness and education is important. So I understand speed limits might be really difficult to enforce, but even putting in some speed limit buoys for the awareness, even if that's just the mental reminder that a couple people slow down, that's positive change. So just because it's hard, I don't think that means we should do nothing. You're having a good day, you're enjoying the day, and you turn a corner and you see that buoy, like that might be enough of a reminder. I sometimes am on milestone and I hit 60 until I see the sign. I'm like, oh, geez, I need to slow a little. It's that awareness. So we still put speed limit signs on the road, even though a lot of us don't get pulled over for speeding. So I'm with Steve that I think more could be done in the harbor, at least education and awareness wise.
Good idea.
Well, this could be something, if we're gonna have our meeting in the summer, this could be the kind of thing we could throw out and ask for additional input.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Madam Chair.
Peter?
Dave took my words, but, you know, I'm gonna speak on how Sheila would probably react, and we all know how busy she is. She's so busy that we can't actually see her doing her job, which is what I've heard in this committee so far. And so then you add that to it, and is she or her staff gonna be up there all the time, making sure people aren't roaring around? Dave's right, it's gonna be really hard to enforce that. And Sam's right, you can put up a buoy and hopefully people, grow a conscience, but I regularly launch my kayak at Pulpus Harbor and paddle through that channel and then go over to Cotu, and people come blasting in the channel and they don't slow down until they get to the anchorage, to the mooring field, and they, they're, and then
Here she comes.
as soon as you get out of the channel,
Is that door unlocked? Yep.
all those people in those big boats swimming around towing, it's a great idea, but
It also allows the Coast Guard to enforce it. And I've seen the Coast Guard doing safety checks up there. And if they're in their small boat and they're up there, they can do that too.
well,
You can sit wherever you want.
It's gonna find you everywhere that thing moves.
whoever speaks.
We're talking about, welcome to the Harbor Plan Update Committee.
Yeah.
We're talking about
Tons.
possibly having some sort of no wake speed limit in the upper harbor between First Point and Bacamo.
Well, not no wake. I don't
Or
think he
I don't know,
suggested
no wake or
but
speed
not
or.
full speed ahead, straight up harbor.
For
Well, the
vessel-
little-
For vessels over 30 feet. For the larger vessels, I'm not talking about the 17-foot whalers and the small runabouts. I'm talking about vessels of size.
This is Steve Linebaugh.
We didn't expect to throw you into the deep end the minute you got here. We might as well just roll
Make a
right in
decision.
here.
I do.
We're just talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a problem with it, but there's not that many boats over 30 feet that operate up in that end of the part of the harbor.
That was my question.
Well,
There's mostly small boats up there because of the draft.
Yeah.
I disagree with that, Sheila, because I'm up there racing my 15-foot sailboat every weekend, and there's a ton of those Hinkleys, the Barton and Grays. They're all 36-foot plus. And there are a lot of those big, sport fish center console with quads that are running around up there now because they don't really draw much water.
Well, something to be talked about.
And I also put it down from like June 15th to September 15th when it's really crowded up there and there are people pulling kids on tubes and there's people in little sailing dinghies and all kinds of other stuff going on. That's all. It was just an idea to try and most of the people that are operating up there are not very respectful, and either they don't know the rules or they just don't care. So it was just something to try and get the bigger boats to slow down a little bit. And I suggested a slow speed minimum wake, not an idle speed.
Okay. I got to think about
That one.
it. Yeah,
Now you're gonna enforce it.
because I mean, I stand by my first statement. I don't think there's that many boats that are up there that are that big. I mean, there are a couple of Hinkleys that are jet boats. And, there are some center consoles. I'll think about it.
You were at the SHAB meeting, so she's seen that list that you sent us? About the embarkation fee and all this other stuff?
No, she wasn't at that meeting, but she knows, Sheila knows.
So this is the other.
I think we are all in favor, Sheila, of returning you to yourself.
Yeah,
Getting you out of the NPD.
excellent.
Have you been able to get any headway with?
Yep, we're moving forward. It's going really well. It's, the new police chief is amazing and, yep, things are going really, really good.
Where do you think you're gonna get yourself back?
Well, when I was talking to. The first step's been made. I'm out of the union. And so I'm independent, now. So that was step one. We also hired a deputy. So.
For yourself?
Yep, so we're creating the structure. And when I was speaking with HR, they were wanting it in like a 3-year phase-in thing. So we've taken over a lot of our own like paperwork and management, gotten that away from the PD, so we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, but they still control you.
It's just a whole very different now, though.
They can split your budget out, like they took it away from you, they can give it, the whole department back to you, like we got the Parks and Rec back. Is this part of the 3-year plan, is to make you your own thing over there? So
Yes.
you don't go through them at all anymore?
Yes,
Would that give you the lifeguards back?
we have the lifeguards.
Yeah, they have.
Okay,
Yeah, we still have the lifeguards.
what else did we want?
Well, I guess the point is this committee strongly supports
You.
you being separate.
Thank
Yeah.
you,
So you got Shab, you got this. What else could there be?
thank you.
Shellfish licenses go back to you, or?
I think they should
Both
stay with
stickers?
them, but the mooring permits are back with us, right down at 34 Washington Street. Where, things are much better.
Did you have a conversation with them about the embarkation fee?
I did not.
This has come up repeatedly over the years about where that money's going, and it's going into their budget, their regular budget salary.
Okay,
Not to you, not to anything to deal with the piers and the waterfront, none of that.
okay.
And so we've been talking about going to raise it, what is it, 50 now, 50 cents, or is it $1?
It's 50 cents now.
You can go up to,
The cities and towns, on their own can raise it to $1.
Okay.
And to go beyond that, then you have to go to the state, and that's what, Tisbury was trying to do, to collaborate with us to maybe bring it up higher, and I don't know if that's something that the towns.
but,
And then fund
but
stuff
put it
that you
into, put it into your budget, not the
Yeah,
police
Not the
department.
police department.
Excellent. I think I hear a conversation where, it went in front of the selectmen and the selectmen didn't want to raise the fees?
They just didn't want to raise the fee up to $2, which is what Tisbury wanted.
Oh,
Madam Chairman,
Yeah, Dave?
yeah, before we get too far afield with giving Sheila the money, which I would be perfectly happy with, but that's not what the recommendation is. The recommendation is to establish a review group to investigate past and current practices and future spending recommendations. If those recommendations are that they give them all the money to the harbor master, that's fine, but this review group would decide where this money goes in the future. So,
Well, we gotta get
Okay.
buy-in from the selectmen and the police department for that one.
that's what this review group is gonna do. With the blessing of this committee and the unanimous vote of Shab, I think we can move that forward.
Do you have enough staffing?
working on that. We're getting more and more, and I've come up with a plan for that as well.
Starting July 1 or?
Yep.
Good.
So I'm trying.
Cause these are all the things that are coming up as we're going through this section of the harbor plan, and we've been.
Right now, we're grossly understaffed, but I do have the plan as they wanted it. Like we're hiring one this year and then one each of the following years.
That's death by 1,000 cuts, because we've been talking a lot, last couple of weeks about enforcement. People, putting their moorings in the wrong place. I know you're going after people that don't have stickers, going too fast through the anchorage, not putting them where they're supposed to, yada, yada, yada. There's a whole ton of stuff. If you don't have enough staff asking you to increase the enforcement on crazy people, you're not gonna be able to do it. And one a year for 3 years, are they out of their freaking minds? Or is that all you could get out of them?
That's what. I guess.
Well, we're probably gonna advocate for more staffing.
Okay.
Anybody else have any, Steve?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Sheila, is it possible for you to use volunteers if they, like people want to help you out, doing patrols on the harbor or things like that? Or is that something that doesn't work with the town the way HR is or something?
Yeah, I'm gonna say they would probably say no to that, but in the summertime, I do have, a lot more staff, like we hire 20 for the dock and the patrol boats. In the boats, and we have seasonal
pump outs?
assistant harbor masters and pump outs. Who, I mean, we're on patrol, we've logged a ton of hours doing this stuff, I mean, I thought we were doing a pretty good job enforcing like the moorings and the speed's just tough because it's, you know, if we're focusing at the head of the harbor, then they go flying out the channel and when the wake's there. If we sit at the no wake buoys and enforce it there, you know, they get around us, but I mean, we certainly will step it up again, you know, a little bit more this year, and see what we can do.
I will say I've seen a lot more presence on a daily basis out there with with your summer guys out there on the harbor master boats, like the privateer and stuff like that, cruising around just to make a presence. If the people see you're out there, see those guys out there, you know, they're probably going to behave a little bit better than they think no one's paying attention. I think you've done a great job stepping it up the last couple of years.
Thanks, Steve, I appreciate that, because we really are trying our best.
I just feel like without your own total control and without a sufficient budget that you control and without enough staff, I think they're making you do all this craziness out there with one hand tied behind your back repeatedly. And it's just, I don't think that's fair to you.
Yeah, I hear you, and I appreciate that.
I was married to a boat, Mark Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you take?
Madam-
did you
Madam
get a look
Chairman.
at this? Hold on one second, Dave. Did anybody send Sheila this section? So she can comment on it?
Yeah, it should have been in the emails. I'm not sure if she saw it.
I don't necessarily, if you can't, don't bother to go through the whole thing right now, but I think it's really important for you to take a look at where we are at the moment. We've really only done the first page. And we're now working through the rest of this section, which I think is one of the most important sections in the harbor plan.
I agree.
But I, you know, if you want to take time to look at it and, you know, let us know about the rest of it. Some of the stuff, we're going through the stuff to see what's been accomplished, what
Mhm.
still needs to be accomplished, and what's new, considering all the changes that have occurred in the last 11, 12 years, 13 years since the last one was done.
Right.
So there may be a lot of stuff in here you think we've already done, or we still need to do, or there's something new in here. But don't go crazy trying to read this thing now.
About,
Dave?
and yeah, about the 3-year timeline. Again, I honestly believe that with the recommendation for action items that are going to come out of the harbor plan with the support of this committee and SHAB, we can truncate that 3-year transition plan.
I hope so.
That's why we need a favorable endorsement from this group and inclusion in the plan.
I gotta say, Dave, I'm still never gonna support the one at the jetties, not in a million years. That's just me.
That's just you.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. Where do we want to go now? Dave, Jeff?
Why don't we go back? Was there anything left on the matrix that we hadn't gone through in this section?
On the first page?
Well, I think we could have.
Yeah,
Go back up and kind of go back into that.
But it's vastly different than this one.
Discussion.
I think we did, correct me if I'm wrong, Allison, we got through most of the old goals, objectives, recommendations, and we're moving into the issues and new recommendations. Is that right?
Yeah, because we took 3 whole sections out of that first page.
Oh, Allison, I don't think we can hear you.
Where is she?
She's there.
She's up there, but can't.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yep, now we can.
No. This is good.
Oh, Allison, we could hear you then. Can you hear us? Oh, but now we can't hear you. Whatever you did before, we could hear you.
Okay, how's that?
That's good. We can hear you.
Okay, but I can't hear you.
Oh,
Um, okay. I think, sorry for the technical difficulties.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Sorry. I just unplugged the headphones, getting rid of those.
Cool.
Yep, I think there's some rushed conversation at the end of the last meeting. And so I don't know if there was a full committee support on sort of what we were doing with a couple things. Tim, are you able to share your screen?
Yep.
Show
Yeah.
where we
Yeah,
are?
I can.
I don't know that we're quite finished with the old recommendation, but I might.
That's why I wanted you to have the whole thing.
Yeah, I think I had notes basically right up until here, like right up until the end.
Just the first page.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only first page.
Okay. Yeah, I recall the discussion about the lighting, feeling like was this the place for that discussion? Was the harbor plan the right, venue for that information?
On the copy I see, it says on recommendation 4, stopped here on the right.
Is there any way we can make this bigger so
Yeah.
I can't see it?
Yeah, we didn't get into recommendation 4.
Right.
What's thing is that your pagination didn't change because it jumps right from 1 to 2 to 5. So the numbers are gonna be a little wonky here.
Well, I have that we knocked out recommendation 2 because I think
Yeah,
we did it, knocked out number 5,
yep,
and I think we knocked out number 2.
yes. 2,
So we're now
Yeah.
on to 4, recommendation.
Yeah. So objective 5, recommendation 4 related
Right,
to.
That's where we stopped.
Okay.
Oh yeah, stopped here. Okay, sorry.
should be all renumbered when it comes back to us again.
Yep. Stopped here, correct. Thought I made that note.
Number 5 on the new one is actually number 4 on the old one,
Oh, it's confusing.
sort of, but not. And I don't know where number 2 came from on the new one. At all.
So yeah, was the question around lighting?
We're under harbor safety right now.
Yep. Improving harbor safety.
All right, so I just moved past those other 2.
Yeah,
Right. I believe that recommendation 2 is something that had already been discussed in the commercial waterfront discussion. The ones that are highlighted in yellow are from the old plan, but that have not been discussed yet by.
You're right,
this committee.
hang on a second. The reason the numbers are all screwed
don't
up.
worry about them. Just go to
I know,
the
but I'm looking
lighting.
at number 2 here on the new
Well, I
one,
know,
which is one
but
we already
they're gonna
struck.
redo all of that.
Are you not aware that we already struck that one? Number 2?
Yeah,
above
it looks like
5?
we can remove recommendation number 2. And
Okay.
then we don't have a recommendation 3. I'm not sure where it went, but then recommendation 4.
Okay, we need to renumber these. I'm just confused.
As I recall, we began discussing lighting and we talked about, aids to navigation, that type of lighting, but this
Mhm.
other lighting that's, existing lighting on the harbor and everything can get confusing for people navigating at night, but, there's only so much you can do with the new lighting bylaw and downlights only, that might help, but I'm not sure where we go from here.
That's exactly where we were, and my comment, I believe, was that the Marine and Coastal Resources shouldn't lead the initiative. That lighting is somebody else's purview unless it affects navigation.
The Concom, requires anything when we're dealing with the coastal bank, with wetlands, to, condition that lighting does not reflect, Jeff, you know how to phrase it better than I can, reflect onto the wetland or onto the coastal bank, et cetera, et cetera. I know when there's, things on the waterfront that have to go to the ZBA, it's also, they deal with lighting, and the planning board deals with lighting.
You're exactly right, Linda, and that's where we left the discussion, and it says in section 5 there about who are some of the other entities that deal with that. My comment remains that the Marine Department shouldn't be, or the Harbor Master Department, because there is no more Marine and Coastal Resources Department, but the Harbor Master should not be the lead in this initiative
No, they have
Unless-
a.
unless it affects navigation.
They have a lighting enforcement person at the building department. Not that Marcus ever goes out after dark to check it. I've had to bring him videos and photos to get him to do it.
But you have to
That's-
file a complaint to get him to go and do it. He isn't just gonna go on.
That's right.
patrol.
He's not gonna patrol.
But that's how it is in most of Nantucket. It's passive enforcement.
Yeah,
And the lighting bylaw is basically full cutoff, which means the light faces the ground.
there's
It's
a,
shielded. You can't have a
and there's a
spot.
lumen
Yeah.
maximum that they have to have, they can
Right.
have. But I don't know if I want Sheila having to run around there at night trying to enforce it.
Well,
I have to
No,
light it.
no,
this is a Coast Guard thing, right? I mean, if there's a problem
No.
with the navigational aids, that's Coast Guard.
Well, it's, the problem, I don't think, is what they're talking about, isn't the navigational aids. Those lights are in compliance with federal
Right.
law,
Right,
so there isn't a problem with
right,
those.
right.
If it's a
we're
regular-
talking about additional outside lighting.
Yeah,
And the only
At a
involvement
house?
that the harbor master should have is if it affects navigation. The rest of this needs to go to somebody else, be it Marcus, the Concom, God himself. But the initiative should not be the harbor master.
Yeah,
But
I
in
think
the
we can
language should be simplified and just say that affects navigation and takes the rest of it out of here.
yeah, we can mostly strike that.
Thank you.
And it looks like Emily has a comment.
Sheila, and looking at people's house like,
no problem.
yeah,
They call it cocktail parties.
that's why I'm here. You do it, my dad drove over code
Emily's talking about-
1.1.
I was just gonna add and concur. I think that it's certainly appropriate to have a recommendation in this section as it relates to lighting impacting safety and navigation. But I think that recommendation could be for some other entity other than the Marine Department to address it. But I still think it's appropriate to have something in here as it relates to navigation and safety. And then maybe if it's not already there, and I don't remember seeing it, maybe it's worthwhile to have a simple recommendation in the natural resources section that speaks to addressing lighting that actually impacts the natural resources, wildlife, et cetera.
They shouldn't go there in this thing. That has nothing to do with what we're here for, in my opinion. That's Concom and other entities. But,
You know, we're the harbors.
I think we should simplify it, but I think the word should is the trigger. Because that means that you guys have to do it, period. Should is not, is the word, find another word for should. In legal terminology, it goes should, will, may, and should is the most extreme.
Or shall.
Will, shall is the same thing, just different text.
No.
Can it just say something simple about address unnecessary shoreline lighting that impacts safety and navigation? And then it can say somewhere else who's supposed to do that.
Yeah,
Outstanding.
yeah, just work on that section.
Mhm.
Directing it to the plus.
No, don't go there either, because plus may not exist.
Why don't we just say the town?
In-
And the
has-
town
has
can
there-
do whatever they want.
Some
In your
entity.
in your experience, is there currently any problems with lighting? Is there an impact to navigation currently?
No,
And that's why if it impacts when somebody puts up something that impacts navigation and coming down the main channel, obviously, or navigating safely within the harbor master will be notified, or the harbor master will observe that, and she'll take the appropriate action. But again, she shouldn't lead this initiative.
Let's all remember that Sheila was once senior chief at Brent at Station Brant Point. So she knows, she's
Yep.
the first person that's gonna see this and do something about it. We don't have to worry too much about it.
Right.
But we're talking about, Linda, you talking about like, you know, people's houses on Hobart Ave with bright lights, or are you talking about cottages, wharf cottages with bright lights shining directly out, you know, and people who have decorative lights that are red and green that can confuse people? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm not talking about doing any of this.
I'm talking about enforcing that.
I don't know what we're enforcing, that we have any jurisdiction over, if it's land-based.
Right,
That's what I think Sheila's saying.
right.
If it impacts navigation.
Yeah, if we see something, we'll definitely say something, because I mean, I talk to the ferries every single day. They'll be the first ones to tell me that they had a problem last night with a this or that.
Yeah.
And they're the first ones to call me when a commercial dragger is tied up at the boat basin and they leave their deck lights on all night and that screws them up. Or, I mean, we talk about this stuff all the time. But I mean, before I came to Brant Point, I was in charge of all the Eights navigation on the Cape and Islands too. So I kind of have a clue as to what's gonna be a problem, and I'm pretty familiar with Nantucket. We don't have issues there. Like the main navigation is those two range lights, and there's nothing that interferes with those. That gets them down the center of the channel, so.
Any issue with taking this section out?
I just don't know where you guys were trying to go with it. I mean, it sounds like you're talking about people's shore lights. I don't know that, as you said, we can't enforce that. I can't tell people. If there's a problem, we can say, yeah, you're interfering with navigation, safe navigation and everything else. And most people are very cooperative and will shut it down.
Take the strobe light off the edge of their pier.
Yeah, exactly.
So no harm, no foul if it's removed.
I'd get rid of it.
Yeah,
This reeks of something that happened in 2009.
When
they
there's
originally
nothing
built those.
we need to say on this.
all right.
Someone targeted and still injured it.
Yeah, remove it.
It sounds like it.
Oh, I know.
Remove it.
Someone put up a pole with a light in 2009.
Can I back up for a second to the first one? The town should actively encourage the relocation of the current fuel offloading facility to the South Shore. When I was on this the last time, we looked at that, and that was not possible. They looked at having an offshore thing off the South Shore, and it was not gonna happen, not period. So I don't think we should be suggesting the South Shore, because we went through this the last time. Fuel storage facility, I believe the only tanks that are left down there are servicing the boat basin. Is that correct, Sheila? All the rest of the fuel tanks are out of there now.
Yeah, there's just a couple that go to the boat
Linda?
base.
I think we should,
We
could strike this
removed
section.
that. We struck
It's
that.
still on here.
Well, I put an X on it, that we had talked about it, but we decided to withdraw it.
No, this is different. We talked about the tank farm and that the tanks are all gone. This one we did
Yeah.
not discuss, but it should be stricken because there is no fuel offloading anywhere at this point.
No.
It's all over on the
I
boats.
do have it on this one. I'm still on this one. So get rid of that.
Yeah,
Okay. So now we're down to number, which should be 3, but it's 5.
I'll just add that the recommendation 3 from the old plan was complete. That's why it's not included in this section.
I know, but the pagination's just screwing me up. So we're now down to 5. Here we go again.
Yeah, it's more lighting.
Why don't we just take that one out?
Take it out.
I'd take it in.
Okay, easy.
Get it by the minute. Now, this takes us back to something we were talking about before Sheila came in. About the speeds, the wake zones, no wake zones. That takes us back to what Steve talked about, does it not?
I think it touches on the same thing.
Yeah,
I believe this is just the big overview of it, and
yeah.
any more education, or maps that can be handed out to people, the better. Hopefully they pay attention.
So we can flesh that one, number 6 out with some of the comments that we made earlier, whether Sheila can enforce those or not. But it should reflect some of the concerns that we have about going up harbor. So is that something you can sort of listen to what we've already said about this, Kim, and flesh that section out? I hear nodding. Okay. Number 7.
Are there other areas of concern outside of Nantucket Harbor, for no wake zones? Is there
I
any
don't think-
concern in Mattocket?
Hit the creek, do they?
People complain about Hither Creek. I got no wakes there, but I could probably put a couple more out there.
Yeah.
Cause they slow down. They allegedly are supposed to slow down before they get to Jackson's Point ramp, but that's where a lot of them do. And those people along that, strip there, I get a lot of complaints about
It
that.
should all be no way coming in when you
Yeah.
come into when you come in right by Millie's Bridge, you come in. It'd also be no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Do you understand what Sheila's talking about, Kim? Out in, Mattocket?
We'll put it just to the north of, we'll put it right at Jackson's Point. The buoys, vice, where they tend to slow down is at the ramp if they see us.
Yeah, Jackson Point is a good idea. There's an awful lot of small stuff in there and it's shallow.
It's very shallow.
Okay, anything else on that one, number 6?
Quick question. Sheila, do you think it would be helpful if through this plan, if we could get some kind of charts printed, that show the no wake zones and like that type of thing, and hand them out, send them out with the mooring permits when they get issued?
Yeah, that's a good idea. We could definitely do that.
We spent a lot of time, a couple of meetings ago, talking about education and pamphlets and things to hand out when they get their spell licenses and mooring licenses and everything else. So you don't have to sit there with them and explain it to them here. Here's your rules and regulations, and here's what you can and can't do, and you just, here. And it's available online too, when they do their permits online, they get that thing.
Yeah, and I can do better with, social media, putting it out on social media, because we have a pretty good following. And, tomorrow I'm going into the radio station to make up new, safe boating tips. So maybe we throw some of this stuff in there. Maybe I'll put some of this stuff in there, like remember where your no wake zones are, blah, blah, blah.
Ah,
Yeah, that'd be great. Because the
No, they're
Instagram,
looking for new material. They said they're tired of my old hashtags, so.
the more education, I think in every single one of these sections so far, education, education, education,
Gotcha.
education.
A lot of
Because people are just oblivious.
Yeah,
I put the thing in the water that to holding pour money into, and then I do stupid stuff. Because they're not educated, right? A lot of them are new boat owners. They don't know where they can and can't go.
mhm.
It's the insanity out there, and I don't know how you deal with August, frankly.
Hashtag.
New hashtag, yeah. All right, we're on to number 7. The town should secure funding and permits for dredging projects as outlined in 5 and 10-year plans or as necessary. Are you involved with the dredging that's coming or not coming?
I just got notified that I could be involved now. I hadn't been involved with any of the dredging.
We asked really nice a lot of times,
Yeah, yeah.
so.
So, yeah, I'll be involved, cause I got some ideas of some places that need it too, so.
Is
Wasn't
that
from
the
last-
channel? Is it the channel or other?
Not the main channel,
Hmm.
Pulvis. I'd like to get Pulvis on some type of maintenance schedule and then
That's so
clearly
in.
the, you know,
I think the idea, right, is to get some like fresh bathymetry and how sand's moving around and to say, here's the next plan for 10 years, as long as everything goes according to plan, and build in some flexibility to say, hey, Easy Street Basin came in and silted it at first. So we're gonna switch Easy Street and Pulpus like. But to have all of the permits in place, so we can,
Well, you know
Reflex-
your timeline.
exactly. And like, that's the thing with Pulvis is every nor'easter that happens, it all just.
Yeah.
That's the perfect direction for it to come from to fill that channel back in for us.
That's why we had a tripod.
plus the sediment that gets pushed around by all the tugboats pushing barges in place at Steamboat Wharf all day long. So that they don't turn their engines off while they're moored there.
They don't,
No,
they must scour something.
somebody complained to me, guy from Wallwinnet, Rob McMullen, he drives the Wallwinnet lady.
I know, Rob.
He says that he has a hard time picking people up at the White Elephant because whenever there's a barge there and you got a tug there holding it in place, the wash of the tug is going in that direction and it makes it hard keep the boat steady and
Right,
something,
that's easy. I can go talk to him.
but he said there's something about the tug captain, he was told that the tug captains,
Well, let me at least ask about it, right?
yeah, they don't make money or something like that unless the engine's running or. No, I'm serious, but it has to be, the engine has to be on and they don't just tie up and everything's okay, the tugboat
Has to push the barge.
have to keep the barge pushed against,
Yeah.
especially when they're
Doesn't
unloading,
separate.
unloading prefab homes and.
Yeah. I can go talk to them this afternoon about that.
But
I understand.
I guess I was just sort of, asking a question while wondering about it at the same time, the steamship authority is in there. And there's a lot of, water being pushed around by the fast ferry boats and the tug and, the slow boat, and I'm sure that that's a place that needs to be dredged.
If and when we ever get Petrol Landing up and running, we're gonna have to dredge in there, aren't we?
They've permitted dredging. The
Okay,
land bank has, as part of that project.
Just to clarify, the land bank and Jesse is here. But the land bank, their missions are conservation, recreation, and agriculture.
yeah.
So if it's just gonna be a dinghy dock, I can't understand why it wouldn't need to be dredged.
Would need or would not?
Why would it
Not.
need for dinghies?
Well, it depends on what the
No.
size and what the drafts are.
For
There's
dinghies.
boats too. It does accommodate some boats.
Okay,
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Since we're
All right,
talking
Yeah.
about dredging, just out of curiosity, is the town or coastal resilience or anybody moving forward with the sediment transport study? Is that still happening or is that just being talked about still?
No, that's underway.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah, that's like a year in.
Is there
When
any
is
information coming out of it yet?
I mean, we've done most of the field work and basic bathymetry, so I think Arcadis is still doing kind of the transport modeling. And that I think next steps to that will probably be with that in hand, starting to put together kind of a dredge needs list from the town. And then vetting that a little bit publicly and then prioritizing from there.
Should that
So-
be included in this plan?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do we need to mention the sediment transport study and results of it in this plan?
Yeah.
It'll definitely be referenced in the plan, but I think the goal that we just marked up for one of the end results of that sediment transport study is gonna be to try to get one of those 10-year dredge plans from the state. So that way, the next time you ask either Sheila or I, what's going on with dredging, we go, well, there's the plan. And
Great.
we ask for the money every year to do the dredging we're supposed to be doing. That's what we're doing.
Great, thank you.
Do we need to flesh out 7 anymore, or are we pretty good with the way it's written?
No, I think it's fine.
Okay,
Yeah. Is there anything else that's needed to advance?
Um,
To work, in concert with the sediments transport study to promote those goals.
No, I think the or as necessary at the end of that.
Okay.
It's open-ended enough.
Yep.
okay. Okay, there's a goal here. To increase the security of the harbors and to ensure smooth and continued operations in the event of a significant maritime disaster, storm, or accident. Seems like it's every other week. The objective, ensure the movement of goods and people to and from the island can continue the event. In the event that vessel access became restricted. That stuff came out of our previous plan, did it not?
Yeah, these are all old rules.
Yeah, this is all old
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
Keep.
And these have
Okay.
been discussed by this committee, but you're welcome to discuss more, of course.
No, this is your favorite one coming up.
Where? Yeah, but it doesn't state the jetties now, does it? I'm gonna fight that and I'm gonna go down and chain myself to the jetty.
Yeah, Allison, so we did already go through these, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
From what I understand, yes, those were discussed, I believe, at a prior meeting. The one, I think, not on screen right now, highlighted in yellow, has not been discussed
been.
from the prior.
Yeah,
one.
I think we jumped around because we wanted to wait until Sheila was there for the above conversation, right?
Well, I want Sheila to look at recommendation number 3. In here, yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
that has not been discussed yet.
this one,
Coordinating,
the Department of Marine and Coastal Resources currently works
with local
Yeah, I
businesses.
want you to look at that one.
That's coordinated by the harbor master currently. She has haul out plans and contingency plans with all the mooring companies, Great Harbor Yacht Club, Travel Lift, et cetera.
Yeah, what this is asking for is that it's formalized in writing, as to who does what. Is that
Well,
something you already have, Sheila?
Yeah. We
I know
have,
you have
yeah.
contact with all these guys, but
yeah, we have something, I mean, it's not signed by everybody, but we do have like. We
An
do have it in
understanding.
writing, yeah. I mean, I can provide that for you guys if you wanna see it.
how much control do you have over that travel lift down at Great Harbor?
A lot.
They only pulled their own
Yep.
first.
They have a chapter 91 permit that requires them to do it.
Who Eric Finger does the whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's great.
Yeah.
I've had no
he's-
problems with them.
Because I have had somebody go down there and try to get their boat out, and they said, we're gonna pull our members out first.
No, that's,
You'll have to
no,
wait.
He's
no,
not part of
he's
that.
pulling
he's not part
everything
of
that he
that,
can.
Great Harbor Yacht Club.
Okay, because that's what happened.
Okay, but if that ever happens again, you just gotta let me know, because I'll work with him, he's more than happy to say. This is it, and even when we go to try to get, like the headhunter pulled out or something that we don't wanna put on a trailer. We get in line behind everybody, with everybody else, and he's like, we'll get to you, this is the way we're going.
Because I found that really, from a planning board perspective, just reinforced them into keeping that travel list there.
Yeah,
That it was like, what?
no, that if that happened, it guarantee it hasn't happened on a regular basis.
Not on a regular basis, but I didn't want it to happen once.
I don't want
I
to
don't want to hear
once.
that phrase once.
Yep, nope.
Okay.
Can I, and I think Dave is on the right track on this one. I was reading the special permit issued by the planning board in 04 for the Great Harbor Yacht Club, and there is
Mhm.
some sort of boat hauling provision in that does say that they will prioritize their members first. Doesn't say they won't do anybody else, but that is in the decision.
Yeah,
I'm not sure it's in the chapter 91 decision, but it is in the local
Yeah.
decision.
It
Yeah,
is in the chapter 91 permit.
Now, I don't know if that's,
Send it to you.
okay. I have it, David.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not talking, people who stand in, whoever's in line should be pulled out, period. They shouldn't be waiting for somebody from the membership to show up with their boat.
Agreed.
Whether,
I know-
regardless of whether we put it in the planning board, because I was on the planning board then, regardless of whether we put it in the planning board or not. That bothers me.
Yep. And rightly so.
So
Okay,
I'm hearing
Yeah.
that the haul out provision is in both chapter 91 and the special permit. Jack, you're saying that the prioritization of the yacht club members is in the special permit. Do we know
Right.
if that's in the chapter 91 license?
I think David said it is.
It is. The prioritization piece
Yep.
is in.
Yeah. Now that doesn't mean, I don't know if that's causing it. That doesn't mean that that's what they do.
Right.
No,
So,
the chapter 91 permit doesn't reference the members only thing. It says that they have to provide haul out services up to 47 feet, which includes the largest Coast Guard boat. So it doesn't say anything about members in the Chapter 91 permit. It just says they have to provide haul out services, period.
Yeah, so they may be trying to skate by based on the planning board decision.
They've
Which-
forgotten all about that.
Oh, no, they haven't. Okay,
So what do we need to add or change anything for this recommendation? Does this need to be formalized? It's in writing already, it sounds like. Sheila, if you are able to share that information, that would be great, because that's certainly heard a lot about the yacht club and concerns about this haul out piece at the public meetings. So I think just summarizing the information that's available in the plan will be an important education piece for people to have it, stated what the current setup is.
Okay, there's not a whole lot about prioritizing anybody. It's more just, these guys everybody needs to participate. When we need to get things out of the water, we need everybody's participation, and they all said yes, but I can type something up with putting that in there and then giving it to everybody for this 2024 season.
well, just give it to Jeff and we'll sort of figure out how to finagle it here.
Okay,
Cool, where are we going next?
Sorry, so are we, can I just understand what's happening with that recommendation? Are we,
Sheila's gonna send in what she's got, and then
Okay.
we'll see how we can massage this if we need to at
Okay.
all.
sounds good. So this is on to new issues or new language related to things that we've heard through the public meeting and interview process.
Well, we have one here, regarding a possible, this is before we get to new issues.
Yeah.
It's called recommendation 2, at least that's what it is, about developing a new boat ramp.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that.
And I'm
If
sure
you ha-
Sheila was something about that. Or talk about that.
the boat ramp.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people at our town meetings that we were having, or the
Mhm.
open meetings, were talking about, could we have a second boat ramp? And I know that that's been a discussion for years, but
Yeah, I
It's in-
think,
Let her go, let Sheila go first.
I think, it's just where. Like where to put it. I mean, we do got those two out out in Mattakit, and I know people don't like to do that, but we try to keep those as readily accessible as well, but, and then I just know the conversation that I heard about possibly down at the jetties, putting a ramp and something else down there.
I will chain myself to the gym.
I know, I heard you.
well, I guess we could just leave this in as a placeholder. I mean, it's something that's an ongoing interest, and so I don't think we should delete it.
Yeah, we should.
We
leave
just
it in.
don't have an answer.
Leave it in because something could change. It should always be that
We're trying.
that we're
Yeah.
trying to
Looking.
find that spot, and once it's, memorialized in the plan, that means that the idea of it, the intent doesn't go away.
I would take the word south end of town out. We just need to look at where else we put it. I wouldn't be specific to the south end of town.
To me, I think you could even broaden it out some, just say, should be seeking to improve all shoreside access and infrastructure.
Or possibly the addition of, I could see the state would get their nose into this if we find a location that pops up. And they're gonna say, well, let's look at the 2024 or 25 plan. You don't, we have to say something about it.
I mean, we've talked all along, where short parking all over the shoreline from mooring fields, and people park crazy and.
So I guess we keep it, I guess my suggestion is we keep it in, but we don't say that it has to be the location. We just say that we're
You gotta
looking for
look
an
for
additional
something else.
second boat ramp.
Because as soon as you find another place to have another boat ramp, you're also gonna have to find space for boat trailers to park.
No, that's, you
Even
know,
gonna be the jetties.
Because they park on Easton Street for children's and.
that's another, that's,
On F
but the
Street.
point is that we keep it in.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Packed sometimes.
Okay.
We're gonna put the new harbor master building on a big parking lot.
You never get on the-
Okay, Kim, is that okay?
Yep, that's good.
By the way, where are you going when they build your new building?
I have no idea. I don't think it's not even
The retirement
in the
home?
near future. Yeah,
Easy.
I'll be at our island home by the time it comes along.
It's like the rest of us.
Yeah, I just walk across the street and I'm at the island home. I mean, Sherman. So now we're down to,
Yeah, so I think we're down to, as Allison was saying, new, kind of newish issues that have come up and potential recommendations. So
this goes
Allison,
back to what Sheila was talking about earlier, also education, maps, all this other stuff.
yeah, Allison, I don't know if you want to give a quick overview of what was here.
As this committee is noting already, you know, the boater safety, you know, sort of just general courtesy on the water is a concern that we heard a lot about. Education is always really important, and it's also a challenge to think about the mode of how that's done and what is going to be most effective for this community. Whether it's, as you're saying, tying to, you know, mooring permits and, you know, sending that information, you know, ahead, or, you know, some sort of, you know, if you need to read something to, you know, check off that you've, you know, read something to, you know, acquire other related information.
Well, personally speaking, having had boats in my family, we've had 7 of them, been married to a boat, multiple boats. I always thought that there should be a safe boater and a license to operate a boat with the stupidity that I've seen out there, including in my own family. That's just a pie in the sky. That's never gonna happen, but I think it's always a good idea to take a safe boater course before you're ever allowed to take a boat on the water, but that's extreme, I know. Sort of
Yeah,
just getting some education out there.
That is certainly a recommendation we heard, you know, as this notes, it's not required for adult boaters right now, you know, for the whole state of Massachusetts. I don't know if that's something this committee wants to, or the town wants to work on advocating for as a sort of longer term goal or issue.
I've been teaching the junior operators, the kids. I teach the whole 8th grade every year. I teach some stuff at the high school. So we do probably 100 young adults or kids a year. And maybe, you know, maybe start offering it to adults too, but it's just time consuming.
Oh, it is. It would have to go through the community school kind of thing up there.
Yeah, I've been doing it through Egan.
Yeah. Even maritime with
It's
the kids.
it's a volunteer.
But the
thing for
adults
me.
would have to go through the community school, but that's not something, if we presented it to them, that's not something they wouldn't sign on to, so.
Yeah.
Just as a point of interest, many states have talked about putting in regulations for mandatory minimum education. And the recreational boating lobby always comes through and stops it at the legislative level because they're afraid people won't buy boats if they're forced to take even a minimum course. So it's very important. And, you
So I'm
know,
not gonna buy a car if I don't take my driver's license test.
yeah, exactly. But they're, you know, they've got a powerful lobby and they get in there and they get to the state level and they say, nope, no mandatory education.
Does the Coast Guard do it? One of my sons did a course, this is years ago. He got a little card, it was a Coast Guard.
Through the auxiliary, yeah. It's the
sorry?
same one, it's the Coast Guard auxiliary, but they teach the same one that I do. It's called Boat Massachusetts.
And does the Coast Guard here do that?
Sometimes.
Ethan does
but
it, doesn't he?
But it's a long, yeah,
Yeah.
they do it for, it's like 8 weeks to get it. And I try to do it in a weekend or less.
So I guess we could have a recommendation that we support whatever, you know, the harbor master or the Coast Guard can do to make that easily available.
Well, if I may, it ought to also include the environmental police because they're going to be more familiar with what goes on and should go on in Massachusetts. And I know Sheila has a good rapport with them, so I think they should be a primary entity involved.
Well, I know my son took it, Colin took it before he went to work, before you were there. Dave was there when Colin did it. But Colin took it and we wouldn't let him in a boat.
Okay,
And
so,
Colin took it.
so one of our recommendations is something along that line. That we would support.
Environmental police involved too.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is great. Back to education again.
One of these was related to regarding maps about where different activities are not allowed. I think when I was looking through the regulations and understanding sort of where is where, you know, jet skiing and water skiing and those different sort of things, trying to process that information and wondering, is there a map that visually shows where things can or cannot happen?
Well,
Well, we got that too, that would be one of the things we handed out with the moorings and his, that and the other thing, and put it on her, Sheila's, social media site and all that stuff, because when I rented, I'll give you an example, when I worked for Alan Holgate for 8.5 years, we had a map that says you can drive the 4-wheel drive on this section of beach, this section of beach, and this section of beach. So it was very clearly delineated where you cannot drive. It would be the same thing in a map of the harbors.
well,
Where you can and can't.
if a chart is included in the harbor plan with activities and maybe it's a couple charts with activities, then that's something that can be replicated and handed out. So if this plan has as many informational charts as the 2009 plan had, then Sheila can then take that and reproduce that easily and hand it out or mail it out or whatever. But I think it should be included in the plan, and we just have to work with her as to what activities she wants to allow in certain areas.
It makes a lot of sense because you can kayak or canoe into the creeks, but you don't try to take your boat in there. And people still do, and they run aground and low tide and.
That's why you have a chart.
It's like stupidity, but against stupidity, but you're still gonna have it unless you put it in front of their face.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of use conflicts and people feeling like activities are happening where they're not supposed to be happening. And so it sounds like education is a key part of that. And visually seeing a map, I think hopefully would be most helpful for folks.
Okay, anything else in that number 1? Okay, number 2.
I noted
Watercraft, we've talked about that. Yeah.
Is that related mostly for boats on moorings, or is that any boat? Is that on anchorage as well?
She's been going after the guys that don't have their stickers.
Right, for the unauthorized moorings and stuff like that. The problem is what we do with them when we find them. Because we got no place to put them really. So that's the problem.
Can you call the mooring guys to come pull their illegal mooring?
Yeah, I deal with them on the illegal mooring. It's like whoever jumped on it or whatever is the case. And we're working closely with them. And we're doing a lot more enforcement about a set list, seeing who they're setting for. And then I can look and see if it's legal and who's gonna be on it and all that type of stuff. So we're working on that. And as far as unregistered boats, that I work with the environmental police on because they can enforce that best. But he's in the same boat as I am, and he's like, okay, we found it, it's not registered, where do we put it?
Behind the police station. There's so much room now, don't they?
Well, how do we get it out and how do we get it over there? And like, that's all many times and so many.
And then you assume the liability for it.
Exactly, and then when the guy calls, it's just like we're doing with these dinghies, they wanted all this dinghy regulation, and that's just turned into a full-time job for us. They don't have a dinghy permit, we have to go take it, confiscate it, bring it back, and then when the person calls that wants it back, we have to bring it back to them.
Oh,
So,
that's so much fun.
yeah,
You have to bring it back to them. They don't, it's not like when your car gets towed, you have to go and get it.
well, if we have them go and get it, then everybody else's that's out there, they could go shopping and take whichever
Take
one they
whatever they
want.
Those are the go get your car thing, those are secure lots, at least off island.
Yeah, and they have people
You have
that
to prove it and
control
all this
them,
rest-
exactly.
other stuff.
We're
Right.
actually, sorry to just interrupt and chime in. We're talking about a sticker program, or we were, talking about, and we're not gonna, we're doing sort of a half measure this summer, but, we were thinking of having like an impound fee, where, so we'd, impound, and then once a year at a certain time or something, they would be able to come pick it up. So we weren't doing that whole back and forth thing, or a certain time a week, like once a week. We're talking through the details, but we'd love to. I think, Sheila, you probably talked to Eleanor a little bit about it.
Yeah, I'm begging her not to do it. I'm telling you, you guys are gonna beg you not to do it. It's so much work.
It's a nightmare.
It's beyond a
Well,
nightmare.
Yeah, I think you start to realize there's lots of little nuances, like situations, the more deeper you get into it.
Mhm.
Well, how do you find them on top of it? If they're not registered, there's an old number on it or something.
Well,
you
they
can
all,
track 'em
they
down.
come find you.
The minute you take it, they will find you.
FINE, how do you FINE them if you don't know who, if they don't have a license on
Because
there?
they find us and say, where's my kayak? I left it at Monomoy the other day, and I know you have it, and
Give me the $500 fee for every day we caught you.
we don't have that.
Well, you should be able to find them. The ZBA, the planning board, and the HCC can find them. There should be a reason that you find them.
If you take it, they will find you almost immediately.
No, FINE.
I think you'd have to change the bylaw to get authorization to do that.
Well, then why don't we add that in here on number 2? Possible fines for non-compliance kind of things.
Well, I think the improved regulation approval of expired unregistered watercraft. I think that would include it in the improving of regulations.
I just like the word FINE.
And it's also included in the Mass General laws and the bylaws that Sheila has empower to enforce. So there's already a fine attached.
I'm coming up on 2:30.
Yep. All right, so we got, finish the
So-
page. People operating personal watercraft at high speeds
Sorry.
close to the public.
Sorry, can I just go
Again-
back to, can I just go back to number 2 for a second? Is there anything
Yeah.
else that is needed for this? I know that it sounded like, is space a problem? A location a
Yeah.
problem?
Yeah. And
Storage
always,
space.
So assuming somehow you find time that doesn't exist to haul these boats and take them out, do we need to identify another location for these vessels? to
Right.
go?
You need to
Hold on.
identify a space that these things can be stored safely.
Sheila,
Need an impound lot.
Yes.
and the police station.
Trying to get away from them, you said.
You'll have your eventually of your building out there. Right, your maintenance facility,
Yeah, but I mean, I don't wanna fill it up with,
right?
I wanna be able to work in there.
All right, let's finish this page. People operating personal watercraft at high speeds close to the public.
Again, there's Mass General laws that she's empowered to enforce that deal specifically with where you can operate jet skis. And
Oh, we did something through town meeting one year,
Can't-
didn't we?
You can't operate it in the harbor.
Yeah.
Right.
It has to be
Also in
outside.
Nantucket Town.
Yeah,
we have a specific thing for rental of jet skis and operation of jet skis. We have local bylaws. But as far as close to the beach, public beaches and swimming areas, it's stated in the mass regulation that you can only
150
operate
feet.
within 150 feet of a swimming area.
What section was that?
Of the
Mass
law.
gen-
Yeah.
It's a
just
mass general law. I can send it to you.
We should probably reference that in this one section.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, because then we can maybe put that as an addendum or something. Here's what the language says, and we've got the local bylaw too. Right. So
I would say the local is more
we should-
restricted within the
it is,
planning area.
It
Yeah.
is, yeah.
so we should put reference to those in here.
And the
I can-
the local bylaw too.
Yeah.
I can
local-
send you the mass
That's
general
good.
laws for all the different applicable sections for this. And unfortunately, I just taught the course, so I've got all that readily available.
Thank you, Dave. That would be great. I'm sure we have some of it, but your list is no doubt comprehensive. I had a question related to this item, mainly that we heard some comments related to concern for, swimming at Town Landing. And I didn't know if those two issues were related or whether there was was it an overall general boats getting too close to the swimming area there?
Where,
No, there's no-
where was there a concern of them swimming?
I think I
Actually,
didn't quite understand the public comments. And so I was looking to this committee just for more information about, swimming at Town Landing and safety concerns. And, when people say that, is
Nobody
the
swims.
concern related to boats getting too close to shore?
Well, if they're talking about the Town Landing, they're probably talking about Children's Beach, but those
that's a-
boats come into the ramp.
Yeah, and there's
All the way-
lifeguards there, and
yeah.
there's
I don't think
enforcement.
we need to.
I don't think we need to deal with that at all.
We
I
don't need
understand
to
what they're saying, but
deal
those
with
boats
that.
have a right to come in to that ramp.
And
And it
that-
just probably freaks them out between the steamship coming in and the boats
Mm.
coming into the ramp and the kids right there. Probably freaks them out, but there's ropes and stuff. I mean,
Yeah, it's
and
the swimming
and
area.
lifeguards.
The mooring area butts the swimming area. There's no room to be operating at high speed there. They're just, there's just no room to do that. So I don't know what their concern was as far as that particular swimming area.
That would
I
be
think
the
that was a
only one.
random comment somebody made.
Yeah, that would be the only place that they would actually mingle. They're not really mingling at Francis. Or the jetties.
Yeah, they come in pretty close to the sandbar at Jetty. Sometimes people come by and do pretty high speed passes near where community sailing is. But these are fairly one-off things. It's not
Yeah,
constant.
because we used to moor our boat over there and we would walk out to it. Then feed around over there. Okay, we gotta call it a day.
All right. Thank you, guys. Just to note, our next session is May 6th. May 6th and then May 20th.
And we're into it.
And you should have calendar invites for those.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, anything else, gang?
Nope.
All right, somebody want to make a motion? Thank Sheila for coming. She's coming back again. No problem.
We'll move.
Thank you, Sheila.
Adjourn, who seconded? Steve seconded. All those in favor? Steve?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Emily?
Thank you, Sheila. Aye.
Oh, thank you.
Sam? Jesse?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
And myself. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
I remember.